Okay, so you want to unlock some secrets of the Bhagavad Gita. Well, get this. We're going deep into this episode of the Eternal Insights podcast. And get this. They interviewed a guy, claims to be the immortal Chiranjeevi Parshuram.
Wow.
Yeah, wild, right?
Yeah.
I know we can't exactly verify his past lives or anything, but even if we just, take it with a grain of salt, his perspective on the Gita
It really is fascinating.
it's pretty wild.
He dives into some complex themes and connects them to our lives in a way that just makes you think, wait a minute, this ancient text might actually be more relevant than ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? One of our missions today is to kind of decode those key players in this whole cosmic drama, the divas and asuras. They're more than just, these mythical beings. They represent these forces within us, right? These internal battles that I think we're all pretty familiar with, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And this Parshuram, he describes it almost like a cosmic tug of war happening within each of us.
Oh, interesting.
So you've got the divas embodying those really positive qualities, things like courage and selflessness, truth.
Okay, so kind of like the better angels of our nature urging us to be better.
Exactly. And then you've got on the other side of the rope, pulling in the opposite direction, you've got the asuras. They embody our darker impulses, the ego, desire, jealousy, the things that can lead us down a not so great path.
It's so interesting how this ancient text is acknowledging something I think we all experience, that feeling of being pulled in two different directions, like when you should eat a salad, but the pizza is just calling your name.
Precisely. It's the classic angel and devil on your shoulder, but writ large on a cosmic scale. And I think that's what makes the Gita so powerful. It's not just about some distant battle between good and evil. It's a reflection of the very real conflicts we face within ourselves every single day.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder, have you ever stopped and thought, is this decision I'm about to make coming from a place of Deva energy or Asura energy? It's a game changer, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's where Parshuram's insights get really interesting. He suggests that simply by becoming aware of these forces that are at play within us, we can actually start to make more conscious choices.
So it's not about eradicating that inner Asura completely, right? Because let's be real, a world without pizza sounds pretty bleak. It's more about recognizing those impulses for what they are and choosing which voice we listen to.
That's a great way to put it. It's about discernment. It's about understanding that we always have a choice in how we respond to these internal forces. Do we give in to those impulses of greed, or do we lean into generosity? Do we act from a place of fear, or do we choose courage?
And that brings us to another key point, this idea of the Vishwaroop. Now, for those who haven't quite gotten to that part of the Gita yet, could you give us a little recap of what this Vishwaroop is all about?
Well, in the Gita, right before the big battle, Arjuna is filled with all this doubt and despair. He's facing his own family on the battlefield and doesn't know if he has the strength to actually go through with it. So to give him some clarity, Krishna, his charioteer, his divine guide, he reveals his Vishwaroop, his universal form.
Okay, so not your average pep talk then.
Definitely not. Imagine a vision so vast, so awe-inspiring, it encompasses the entire universe, past, present, future. Arjuna sees countless worlds, the cycle of creation and destruction, the interconnectedness of all things, all contained within Krishna. It's a truly mind-bending concept.
It's like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain of reality itself. So it's not just some cool light show for Arjuna.
No, not exactly.
Yeah.
Parshuram really emphasizes that this experience, it shattered Arjuna's perception of reality.
Wow.
Can you imagine realizing everything you thought you knew, everything you thought mattered? It was just this tiny piece of this much grander cosmic dance.
It's like when you're so focused on one tiny detail that you totally miss the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, boom, it all clicks.
Exactly, yeah. Parshuram says this expanded awareness, it freed Arjuna from this narrow perspective.
Yeah.
It's not that his problems disappeared, but they were just put into this vast cosmic context.
Right.
He understood the fleeting nature of life and death, the ebb and flow of creation and destruction, and how everything is ultimately part of Krishna's divine play.
Okay, I get it. But let's be real. We're not all going to have a vision of the Vishwaroop on our morning commute. So how do we apply this idea of shifting our perspective in a way that,
in a practical way. That's the million-dollar question, right? We may not be able to conjure up the Vishwaroop just whenever we want, but we can try to cultivate that same kind of expansive awareness in our daily lives.
Okay.
It starts with recognizing we're not separate from the universe, but we are the universe, just experiencing itself through our own individual perspectives.
So it's all about tapping into that sense of interconnectedness,
Yeah,
realizing that we're all part of something so much bigger.
precisely. And that shift in perspective can be so powerful. It lets us approach these challenges with more grace, to see beyond just the immediate drama, and to act from a place of wisdom and compassion, just like Arjuna did after his experience.
Right, exactly. Exactly. It's like choosing to see that bigger picture instead of getting bogged down in all the small stuff. But, there's another really interesting connection that Parshuram makes in this episode that I kind of want to unpack a little bit. He brought up something that seems, well, kind of out of left field quantum physics.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to get to that.
Right.
That's where things took a really fascinating turn, I think, in the episode. And honestly, I was surprised to hear it talked about in such an accessible way.
Okay, so for those of us who haven't exactly, mastered quantum mechanics, can you give us the crash course version? How does this ancient text connect with modern physics?
Okay, well, Parshuram, he drew this parallel between Krishna as like the cosmic observer and the observer effect in quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
Vaguely. It's something about how, the act of observing something can actually change it.
You got it. So in quantum physics, these particles, they exist in this state of potential until they are observed. It's like they're waiting for a conscious observer to collapse the wave function and make them choose a definite state.
Okay, that's already blowing my mind a little bit, but where does Krishna fit into all of this?
Well, the episode kind of suggested that maybe Krishna's role as this all-seeing, all-knowing being, maybe it isn't just some metaphorical idea. What if, like a cosmic observer, Krishna's consciousness is actually holding the fabric of reality together? That the universe as we know it exists because there's this ultimate awareness observing it.
So if Krishna decided to take a cosmic coffee break, the whole universe would just poof.
Well, it's not quite that simple, but the episode suggested that, without that constant observation, reality as we know it might revert to just the sea of possibilities.
That is wild. But if we entertain this idea for just a moment, it begs the question. If Krishna's consciousness has this, really profound effect on reality, does that mean ours does too? Even in some small way? Yeah. It really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
If Krishna's consciousness shapes reality, does that mean ours does too, even just a little bit? Are we all just walking around unknowingly influencing the universe with our thoughts?
It's a mind-blowing idea, isn't it? And I think that's exactly what Parshuram was getting at. He wasn't necessarily saying we have these, godlike powers to manipulate the universe, but he was highlighting the potential influence of our own awareness. Think about it. If just observing something at a subatomic level can change it from a possibility into a reality, what does that mean for our thoughts, our intentions, the energy we bring into the world?
It's like the Gita is echoing what modern physics is discovering, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
But where do we even start to apply this to our own lives? It's not like we're all quantum physicists.
True. Not all of us can, whip up quantum equations, but think back to how Parshuram kept talking about the Vishwaroop experience. That wasn't about Arjuna just seeing cool, trippy stuff, right?
Right.
It was about completely shifting his perspective, expanding his awareness beyond his own limited ego. And that's something we can all work towards, even without having, a personal meet and greet with a deity.
Right. It's about recognizing that how we see things shapes our reality, just like that observer effect. So if we're always focusing on the negative, on fear, on what we can't do, aren't we, in a way, contributing to that reality?
That's a really insightful way to look at it. And on the flip side, if we can cultivate a wider awareness, grounded in compassion, gratitude, a sense of connection with everything, who's to say what kind of positive impact that might have?
That's actually really empowering. It's like we're not just passive bystanders in this cosmic play. We actually have a role in shaping our reality, both internally and out in the world.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message to take away from this whole discussion about the Gita and quantum physics. We're not separate from the universe. We're active participants in this incredible, ever-evolving dance of consciousness.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like this ancient wisdom has been trying to tell us all along about this power we have within, and now science is starting to catch up.
Maybe. But really, this whole deep dive into the Bhagavad Gita with Parshuram's unique take on it has given us so much to think about.
It really has. We've gone from ancient battlefields to the subatomic realm and uncovered some really profound insights. It's a lot to digest, but that's the beauty of these deep dives, right? They make us ask new questions, they challenge our assumptions, and they help us see the world and ourselves in a new light.
Beautifully said. And who knows, maybe our conversation will inspire someone out there to pick up the Bhagavad Gita and have their own aha moments.
I hope so. And for those of you listening, we want to hear from you. What really resonated with you from this episode? Did it offer any new perspectives you hadn't considered before? Share your thoughts in the comments. And hey, remember, if our consciousness really can affect reality, even in the smallest way, what kind of reality will you choose to create today?